Hi, my name is David Boyle. I served in the U.S. Army, and I served with the 9th Infantry Division in Vietnam, 1968 and 69. And I was wounded in the Dong Tam security area, which is circled here in red.
Okay. Now, this is sponsored by the the Children of the American Revolution. He's going to give us a talk here.
This is my dress greens, as they would call it. They call it a blouse. I was an armor officer, hence the tanks with the cross sabers. I was promoted from second lieutenant to first lieutenant, silver bars. On this side over here is an armor patch. This is the 9th Infantry Division symbol.
9th Infantry Division symbol. Okay. Yes.
Normally when you're in combat, that patch would be on your left shoulder. When you've returned from combat, it will always be on your right shoulder.
What's the patch on the left shoulder?
I served at Fort Knox after I was released from the hospital. I was working as a range officer. So this indicates that I was serving at Fort Knox.
Okay.
It's got the tank and the lightning bolt. As working as a range officer, this is the drill instructor's badge. So I was authorized to wear the drill instructor's badge.
Okay.
As an armor officer, color for armor is gold. Other infantry is blue, artillery is red. The various ribbons that are under here. This is a combat infantryman's badge. This is the highest badge that the U.S. Army awards. I was also awarded a Bronze Star with the V device. The V indicates valor. Many soldiers are awarded Bronze Stars. The V indicates that something happened in combat.
Okay.
Also received the Purple Heart from being wounded.
Purple Heart, yes.
These two ribbons here are from the Republic of Vietnam. One is awarded for having served in a hostile environment. The other was awarded for having served in Vietnam. This is a National Defense Medal. Most soldiers, that's the first ribbon that they receive. This shows that I did serve in Vietnam. It has a bronze cluster nut on it, if you would. And then this is a campaign ribbon for the Vietnam campaign. So anybody that served during the Vietnam era would be awarded this campaign, and it says, I believe, from 1961 to 1970. It doesn't say to 1975. It did not give an end date when it happened. So those are the items that are on my uniform.
Again, we're here at this is sponsored by the Children of the American Revolution chapter, and this is Don Boyle. David Boyle. Excuse me, David Boyle. Okay, David. Now we've got your box over here, your shadow box next to us. Can you tell us what's in the shadow box?
Okay. All of the ribbons and everything that you see on here are on my uniform. The items that are on here that are not on the uniform, number one is the dog tags. I was an enlisted man. I went through officer candidate school, and when you become an officer, they give you a different serial number in the military. So, but this is also a dog tag that I would have worn in Vietnam. The rubber protection around this is so that your dog tags don't rattle while you're walking in the jungles of Vietnam. You always wear two dog tags. The other one is a Purple Heart feather that I was given when I went to Sturgis for a motorcycle ride, and I met a guy that was handing these out, and he saw that I had served in Vietnam. I have a Purple Heart. He probably saw it on my arm. Purple Heart on my arm. Here's one scar, of which I have 26. Here's the Bronze Star with a little V device. I was an armor officer, hence the tank and cross sabers. On my right arm is the Combat Infantryman's badge, and again, that is the highest badge that the U.S. Army awards. And this is the patch for the 9th Infantry Division.
Okay. All right, and you're going to talk about all this, about the Vietnam experience and your experience to the Children of the American Revolution today and everybody else. Thank you for your service to the country, and thank you for giving us this lecture today.
Thank you.
We're getting ready to start the event. This is a episode for the Children of the American Revolution. This chapter has been restarted recently, and we're going to have people walk in just a minute and start with our program.
Thank you all for being here today to help honor and say thank you to our Vietnam veterans. I'm Peggy Gilkey. I'm the regent of the Captain Jacob Board, DAR chapter, and on behalf of Captain Jacob Board, the Ohio Valley chapter Sons of the American Revolution, and the newly reorganized Evansville Society, Children of the American Revolution, we welcome you to today's program. We are with the Vietnam Commemorative Committee. Our main objective is to remember and celebrate our veterans on the 50th anniversary of the Vietnam War. We have a wonderful speaker today, and he'll be introduced to you in just a few moments. First, will you please stand? Are you going to do her?
Okay, go ahead and start.
Oh, am I in your way, Josh?
Ready, post. Left face. Forward, arch.
Place your right hand over your heart and join me in saying the pledge. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And now I would like to turn the program over to Ms. Lydia McDowell, President of the CAR, and Vanetta McDowell, Senior President. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Regent, and thank you all for coming today. I am here to introduce our speaker. Please welcome retired Vietnam veteran, Lieutenant David Boyle. Lieutenant Boyle, on behalf of the Evansville Society, CAR, and all others present today in partnership with 50th Anniversary Vietnam Commemorative Event Committee, we thank you for your service and present you with this special lapel pin just for Vietnam veterans. A grateful nation thanks and honors. Now it is time to turn the program over to Lieutenant Boyle so he can give us a detailed account of his time in service during the Vietnam War.
Okay, is this working?
Closer to you.
2 inches.
Okay, is this working?
Nothing? It was working. There you go. Yes, you got it. It's just gonna be a statue.
Okay.
Yeah, really up. Now it's on.
Move in as close as you need.
Yeah, I've asked my daughter Amanda, Mrs. Amanda Dawson, to help me today. She is very knowledgeable about the Vietnam War. I'll explain some more about that a little bit later. But that's and she is the owner of a couple of special artifacts that I have, and she will show those to you later. So bear with me as we go through this. We've not practiced this, so we may need a little coordination between the two of us to do this. I entered the U.S. Army in February 1967, and every class that graduates through basic training, they give you a book, and somewhere along the way they take a photograph of you, a formal photograph. My photograph is in that book. It's also in that frame. So it should be marked here. If you want to take a look at that later, you're certainly welcome to. I wanted to speak off track for a couple minutes. War history. This is the 100th anniversary of World War I. I've got two pictures that I want to show. My grandfather was too young to serve in World War I. However, he served in at Fort McClellan, Alabama, Battery 29th Regiment Field Artillery, 1919. That battalion was instrumental in making Fort McClellan, Alabama, creating the post itself. That was their job. The interesting part about that was I did, from basic training, I went to advanced individual training, known as AIT, and I did my advanced individual training at Fort McClellan, Alabama. And I was trained as a mortar infantryman. So that's why I wanted to bring those two things up. And while I'm on World War I want to mention to you, we have some poppies in the back for people are not aware of the poppy program that began in 1930 to help raise money for veterans. So the poppies you are free to take. If you wish to make a donation, that money will be given to the American Legion here in Newburgh, Post 44. The poppies that are not taken, I will return to the post so they can reuse those. But there's a poem that's important with the poppy. It's called in Flanders Field. By the way, this is what the poppy would look like when they're unfurled. So if you do take one, it's not completely unfurled. Please, if you want to unfurl. In Flanders Field was written by Colonel John McGrath. In Flanders Fields, the poppies blow between the crosses, row and row, that mark our place, and in the sky, the larks still bravely, singingly fly, scarce heard among the guns below. We are dead, short days ago. We are dead. Short days ago, we lived, felt dawn, saw sunset glow, loved and were loved, and now we lie in Flanders Fields. Take up our quarrel with the foe to you from failing hands. We throw the torch to yours to hold it high. If you break faith with us who die, we shall not sleep though the poppies grow in Flanders Fields. A little bit of war history, because we've just talked about World War I and I bypassed it. This was put on by the Children of the American Revolution. The Revolutionary War was fought, the dates basically from 1775 to 1783. Approximately 80,000 fought, to include Indian scouts, private militia, and civilians fighting with the Army and or Navy. There was 25,324 that were killed, and 8,445. 8,445 were wounded. World War I, which we just talked about. 1917 and 1918 is when the United States participated. 5.6 million fought, 116,708 were killed, and 204,002 were wounded. Next, Vietnam. That's where I come into play. The dates are given are from 1957 to 1975. There were 2.7 million fought. That was that many soldiers that served in Vietnam. There were more that served in the Vietnam era. There were 58,219. They were killed. That is adjusted yearly for post-combat deaths and diseases. All the names are described on the wall. Wounded was 153,356. The wounded and the dead all were awarded the Purple Heart, which I was also awarded the Purple Heart. Okay, I went through officers candidate school at Fort Knox after AIT. I was in officers candidate school from the 7th of July, 1967. I graduated in January 68, 23 weeks. It's known as military stakes. Testing and qualifying for officer candidate school is equal and or compared to someone who has done a PhD orals and or who has done a bar exam. The company that I graduated with was E2 class 268. We started out with 115 individuals in the class. 15 were recycled in the class, and we graduated 75. So let me tell you, OCS is not easy. It's a very difficult program to get through. Happens to be I was the second youngest individual in the class. When we graduated, I had turned 21 for 2 weeks earlier. So one individual was younger than me. Vietnam. Received orders for Vietnam in September 1967. Arrived in Vietnam in November 1967. My history with Vietnam, first I want to talk about something that I've carried in my wallet ever since I went to Vietnam. A very good friend of mine's mother had two sons, had three sons. One was my buddy. Her oldest son, who I didn't really know, however, he served in Korea and returned. Her second son, the first one was named Jim, the second one was Jerry. Jerry served in Vietnam. And when those individuals went to Vietnam, she hand wrote out the 91st Psalm, which is supposedly to protect the warriors. And when I was home on leave, she had handwritten me a copy of the 91st Psalm, and it's been with me ever since 1967. It's not in good shape, as you can see. It was in my wallet, in the jungles, it's been in my wallet. It just got to the point where it could no longer be read. And so I did laminate it. If you'll bear with me, I'd like to read to you the 91st Psalm. He who dwells in the shelter of the Most High abides upon the shadow of the Almighty. He shall say to the Lord, You are my refuge and my stronghold, my God in whom I put my trust. He shall deliver you from the snare of the hunter and from the deadly pestilence. He shall cover you with his pinions, and you shall find refuge under his wings. His faithfulness shall be a shield and buckler. You shall not be afraid of any terror at night, nor the arrow that flies by day, of the plague that stalks in the darkness, nor the sickness that lays waste at midday. 1,000 shall fall at your side, 10,000 at your right hand. It shall not come near you. Your eyes only have to behold, to see the reward of the wicked. Because you have made the Lord your refuge, and the Most High your ambition, there shall be no evil happen to you. Neither shall any plague come near your dwelling, for he shall give his angels charge over you, to keep you in all your ways. They shall bear in your hands, lest you dash your foot against a stone. You shall tread upon the lion and the adder. You shall trample the young lion, the serpent under your feet, because he is bound to me in love. Therefore I will deliver him. I will protect him, because he knows my name. He shall call upon me, and I will answer him. I am with him in trouble. I will rescue him and bring him to honor with long life. I will satisfy him and show him my salvation. That was given to me in 1967. That has been in my wallet since 1967. I'm going to put it back. So, bear with us just for a second. Okay, what did I do while I was in Vietnam? I was an Army officer. I reported into the 9th Infantry Division. And the battalion commander that met me there looked at my brass. It was on the uniform in the shell box. It's a tank with cross-severs, and he said, Lieutenant, what are you doing here? I said, this is where they sent me, sir. He said, you understand this is an infantry division, don't you? I said, yes, sir, I do. I told him, I said, tell you what, Colonel, I said, I'll get on the next airplane and I'll go home. You guys give me a call when you figure it out. And he said, Lieutenant, you just became an infantry officer. So, I was assigned as a 3rd platoon leader, Charlie Company, 6th Battalion, 31st Brigade, 9th Infantry Division, Daltontown. Daltontown is on the map, it's circled in red. Later on, if anybody wants to come up, take a good look at the map. In the Mekong Delta, Republic of Vietnam. Come back to Daltontown in a minute. We, for the most part, my platoon, the company, that's the unit that I can relate to. I can't relate to when I'm in the field to anything much larger than that. We, for the most part, lived in the jungles, rice paddies, we walk patrols, eat, sleep, and everything that people do daily and take for granted daily, we did in the jungles and in the rice paddies. It is tough. It is absolutely tough in the rice, down in the jungles and rice paddies. We were wet most of the time, even when it was raining. And I now hate to be wet from the rain. We were always muddy. We were always tired. We hated the sea rations, but that was the food we had to eat. We bathed in the rivers. Most of us carried a bar of soap somewhere. And when we got to rivers, because we were in the field somewhere from 8 to 10 days normally, we'd carry a bar of soap, and when we did a river crossing, a lot of us tried to clean ourselves up the best we could with a bar of soap. That's all we had. We were on watch 24/7. This was the hardest physical work that I've ever done. And in reality, it was harder because I was the officer and I had responsibility for myself on a day-to-day basis. And I had the responsibility of 30 plus individuals who I was in charge of and responsible for getting there to where they needed to be in their life and everything that related to the unit. Just to give you how I was just asleep at night. The only thing I carried with me in the jungles was an OD towel that I wore around my neck, and used it to wipe sweat from my face all day. And when we had the opportunity to sleep at night, I would take the towel, wrap it around my face, roll my sleeves down, button my shirt all the way up, turn the collars up, wrap the towel around my face, put my hands in my pockets, and that was all an attempt to keep the mosquitoes off me and try to sleep. Sounds comfortable, doesn't it? So, anyways, the kind of things we did there, they called them eagle flights, checkerboards. We were often loaded onto helicopters, Hueys, and they would take us out into where we were assigned to go. And we do have a helicopter pilot in the office, in the room. These were kind of what we did. They would unload us. We would go on patrol. They'd pick us up, take us someplace else, and those were either called eagle flights, because they'd just take us out and put us someplace, and or checkerboards, because we were mixing with other units. We would just go in, put in an area, move through an area, put in someplace else, we moved someplace else, and that was what was going on with the other units. In that process, we were doing search and destroy missions. If we did find enemy, simple, search and destroy. We also did at nighttime, we would do night ambush patrols. We'd send out a squad. We'd keep 2 squads at a location. We'd send out a squad of about 10 guys. On the rivers or canals or streams in Vietnam, at night, there was curfew on those. So either we would set up on roads or we'd set up along streams. And anybody moving at night, the job of that squad was to simply destroy. If in fact we did engage enemy, the platoon, that squad would move because their position was known. It would move back where the other rest of the platoon was. River crossing, very extremely interesting event. Normally we do is send a river across the stream with a rope, tie the rope off on the other side, and then we'd have 30 guys using that rope to pull themselves from one side of the river to the other side of the river. Keep in mind, you've got guys, number one, that don't know how to swim and are absolutely spooked by being in the water. Number two, they're carrying full combat gear to include their weapons. And my first loss as a platoon leader was on a river crossing. I actually had my hand out, had a hold of one of my soldiers that was pulling him up, helping him get up on the riverbank, when we heard a crack. That crack, that moment, that individual was killed in my hands. So I physically could not bring him up the bank. It relied upon the rest of my platoon to help me get that individual up, and we got him out of the area on a helicopter. We did not engage the enemy at that time because it was stack of fire. There was nothing to engage. Well, which way it came from, but it happened. The other things we did, we would guard bridges at night. Normally the South Vietnamese were supposed to be responsible for guarding the bridges. They didn't do such a good job. A lot of times there's alcohol involved with those guys, and they'd actually, kind of like the Wild West, throw weapons on each other, kill each other, shoot each other. So normally they would put a platoon or maybe even a whole company on a bridge so that bridge would not get destroyed at night. We'd also guard artillery firing positions at night. During the day, there would be another unit. We would sometimes protect them at night, but during the day, there'd be another unit. We would be sent there to help protect that firing position because they often didn't have enough guys to protect themselves. And their job was to be in artillery, shooting. It's an extremely weird event when all of a sudden somebody calls in a strike and you're sound asleep on the ground, and they set off the 155s, which will raise you off the ground and absolutely scare the pants off of you. The concussion of them is just horrendous. Did I see any wounded, dead enemy? Yes, I did. First enemy that I saw wounded was, in fact, shot by my platoon. We engaged in a firefight, and we moved up to where we'd been in the firefight. We did not take any injuries. We moved up to where the enemy had engaged us, and we found an individual had been wounded and left behind. The medic in my platoon did try to help him by dressing his wound. We put him on a helicopter, choppered him out, and what they did with him after that, I don't know. When I say move from there, did I kill any enemy? I have no idea. First of all, that wasn't really my job, although I would say I was engaged in a lot of firefights. If I killed someone, I never did. Eyeball to eyeball, it may have been as a result of me as a platoon leader participating in a firefight along with my platoon and or the company. So, I don't know. That's the honest answer. Was my platoon involved in wounding or killing innocent civilians? The answer to that is yes and maybe. I say maybe. Again, we would often be engaged in firefights coming from villages, so we were returning fire that direction. So there's a big maybe there in terms of whether we wounded or killed anybody in that village. Yes? Excuse me just 1 second. A bit dry. This platoon was involved in wounding and killing one innocent civilian. The individual was wounded and ultimately died. How this happened? We were set up as a company along a river to serve as a blocking force. 3 other companies were coming from a different direction, supposed to be driving the enemy towards us. And our purpose was to, if you would, serve as a night ambush to destroy any enemy that came our direction. The weird thing that happened was the 4th platoon was set up to our left, and they had stopped an individual in a small boat coming down the river. Checked the individual; he had proper ID credentials, and they turned him loose, and which they should have never done, because when they turned him loose, it had become dark. They didn't call me, my platoon, the company commander. They turned the individual loose, and when the individual got down in front of my platoon did what they were supposed to do: shoot and destroy. But we did take that man down. We pulled him out of the stream, brought him up, realized he had proper credentials. Doc tried to treat him. Doc kept him alive all night. We got a helicopter in the next morning. We put him on a helicopter, and it wasn't 2 or 3 minutes for the helicopter picked him up, and they were in there. And the helicopter pilot called back down and said, "Why did you guys put a dead man on our helicopter?" He wasn't dead when we put him there. He just died. So, yes is the answer to that. I don't know how else to say it. My platoon is responsible. Therefore, I'm responsible, but I really hold the other platoon responsible, because that platoon leader and that platoon did not do their job by keeping that individual safe that night by saying, "You cannot go any farther because you will get killed." So, while we were in the field, I think I mentioned earlier, we typically spent 8 to 10 days out there, and at some point during those 10 days, we were brought fresh clothing, usually about a week. Your clothes being wet for a week, were pretty much rotting, starting to fall off of you. We'd be provided with more ammunition, and we'd be provided with sea rations. Eventually, we might go back to Dongtown headquarters, where the 9th Infantry Division was headquartered out of. Get a couple of days rest, clean up, clear weapons. Back into the field we would go. We were sent, my platoon, the whole company, was supposed to go back into headquarters for a couple of days to take it easy. And we were sent, as we were getting ready to do this, the helicopters came in, and we were redirected to the Dongtown security area. We were told that there was some enemy in the Dongtown security area, so they put our company in an area where the enemy was spotted. Our mission, search and destroy, and we started to do what we do as a platoon. Our platoon got engaged, well, the whole company got engaged in a firefight. Pretty vicious firefight, probably one of the more vicious ones that I remember. We were taking rounds from everywhere. We were putting out rounds in every kind of direction. And in that process, my platoon sergeant was wounded. So the platoon knew what to do in a firefight. They don't really need the officer. So I took it upon myself to grab the medic and say to him, let's go see if we can get to the platoon sergeant and help him out. In that moment, if you would, and I mean, it's just a moment, snap of the finger. Next thing I know, I am face down in the mud. I remember pushing myself up. Glasses are gone, I wore glasses at the time. Pushing myself up out of the mud so I didn't drown. I'm covered in mud. I see smoke. I smell sulfur. I'm trying to describe to you what it is like to be wounded. I'm on the ground, and when I push myself up, there's a scar on my left arm right here. It's about that long, and I looked down, I saw that scar, blood running down my arm. I couldn't feel my legs. I didn't know if they were there or not. I couldn't turn around because I had taken shrapnel on both legs, buttocks and back. I couldn't turn around to see if my legs were there. Firefight was going on. That was probably the only time when I was in Vietnam that I had time to be afraid. I was flat scared because I couldn't do anything. Couldn't do anything for myself. I've always been able to do what needs to be done for myself in that moment. That was taken away from me. So there I was. That booby trap, wherever the officer goes, the medic and I were going, wherever the officer goes, RTO, the radio telephone operator, goes. That booby trap also wounded my RTO and killed my platoon medic. His name was Corporal Rudolph Pearson. Very good individual. I regret Corporal Pearson's loss to this day. We'll talk about Corporal Pearson here in a couple minutes. When I was wounded, 13th of January, 1969 was the date specifically. Eventually, the company commander did get to me, and I was kind of led to believe that if you pass out, that takes your will away to live. So I had lost so much blood that I had lost my vision, but I still had my hearing. And I kept telling the guys that were there, that were trying to help me out, company commander, another medic, a couple other guys. I said, keep talking. I wanted them to talk to me, and I was trying to talk to them so I could hear. That was in my mind, keeping me alive, them talking to me. Finally, the firefight ended. They got helicopters in there. They took out of my platoon, but the other platoon, can't speak for them. They took out of my platoon 3 wounded and 1 dead. We were medevaced out to the Dongtown Field Hospital. What happened in there, for the people that may remember the show MASH, it was triage just like everybody else is. They immediately cut off my uniform, my boots, they just cut it off, cover you with sheets, and you're just laying there on a litter, on the wheels, hook you up the IVs, and wherever you fell into the triage line is when you went off to surgery. So I remember, seemed like an eternity. It may have been 20 minutes, it may have been an hour. I have no clue. But it did seem like an eternity before they came in and said, you're up, let's go, boss. And Next thing I woke up, I was in a hospital bed, in a field hospital. I was bandaged, my back was bandaged, my butt was bandaged, both my legs were bandaged. This arm was bandaged. I had IVs in this arm, and there I lay, waiting for whatever happened. Of course, they were putting a lot of morphine in me, trying to keep me comfortable. Well, there was no eating because I couldn't feed myself in the first place. I do remember them shaving me there one time. And the other thing that happens while you're in that hospital, traditionally they would have a colonel come through, and everybody that had been wounded maybe that day or the day before, they would pin a Purple Heart on the individual while you're laying in bed. That Purple Heart is in my shadow box over there. And we'll talk about Purple Heart in just a couple minutes. I was in that field hospital 7 to 10 days, no real clue because morphine being put in me. I don't have a good sense of time. A lot of time spent just simply sleeping. Eventually, the hospital flew me up to Tansanut Air Base, just outside of Saigon. I had a good friend of mine who I'm still in contact with this day, stationed at Tansanut. Him and I had planned to do an R&R together. They asked me when I got to Tansanut, is there anything we can get for you? And I said, yeah. I'd like a bath. I had been in the field 10, 12 days. I still have mud in my hair, still got mud on me. You know, from being in the field, I like clean me as much as you can. I'd like a telephone so I can try to reach my buddy. I got a hold of my buddy Ron. Fortunately, I was able to get a hold of him. Called Ron. Ron showed up. Interesting story. They're cleaning me. They've got an orderly finally giving me trying to clean me as best they could. My buddy Ron showed up. He's got a shoe box. And what you got in the box, Ron? I'll show you in a minute. Now keep in mind, I'm laying there, they're pumping morphine in me. So this person leaves. And Ron opens up the box and he's got 6 cold cans of beer. You know what we did. We shouldn't have been doing it. At least I shouldn't have been doing it, but we did. So after a couple, 3 of them, they threw Ron out. And that was the last time I saw Ron for a long time because he did do a full tour in Vietnam. So it wasn't until he returned to the States. They flew me out to Japan. Weird trip, leaving the jungles of Vietnam, hot, humid, just that's Vietnam. Flying into Japan, it's snowing. We've been in there for a couple, 3 hours, and it's snowing, and they're carrying me off. Going to Camp Zam in Japan, and I was there for roughly 45 days. Again, I don't know, couldn't count, didn't count. I was there for 45 days I probably went through a couple, 3 more surgeries there. They were trying to simply heal me. That in a field hospital, they tried to take out all the big pieces of shrapnel, stitch you, or no, they didn't stitch you, but they left all the wounds open. When I got to Camp Zam, I took you into surgery. The idea there was in surgery was to take out all the dead tissue and then stitch the wound shut. This wound was about 2 inches long on my arm. There's 4 stitches. They didn't really care how well it looked. They just wanted it to be together. So, like I said, I went through several surgeries while I was there at Camp Zama. In that time, they did start to try to do physical therapy on me, to try to eventually start trying to get me up and start walking again because I had not walked since the 13th of January 1969. Physical therapy was very painful because most of the muscles, the lesions that are in your skeletal system, all that stuff had been destroyed and all damaged, and all the brain had to reconnect to all of that stuff again to make it work. Everybody in here knows how to walk. I know how to walk, but my body no longer knew how to walk. So I had to relearn how to walk. By the time I left Camp Zama, I could probably walk from here to the American flag. Couldn't walk back. So it was very limited. So when I left Camp Zama, they asked me where I wanted to go. I said Ireland Army Hospital at Fort Knox, because I spent most of my time at Fort Knox. I had buddies at Fort Knox, and it was relatively easy for my family, who lived in Fort Wayne, to be able to come down and see me. So that was my reason at Fort Knox. I did not leave the hospital at Fort Knox. I didn't want to walk. Became independent. I didn't leave the hospital at Fort Knox until June of 1969. So I was hospitalized approximately 6 months. I did stay in the Army after that. I had been promoted to first lieutenant. Actually, I was promoted at the time of which I was wounded. I spent my 21st birthday in Vietnam. When I left the hospital, I did various assignments, a couple of different assignments there at Fort Knox. Ultimately, I was assigned as a range officer. That's what the white helmet is. It was to indicate, we were the range officers. The drill instructors brought their companies out there. They helped us run the range, but I had a crew that ran my range, and all my crew wore a helmet with their rank, and that was a way to identify the range personnel. So I did keep on my helmet when I left the United States Army in June of 1970. I extended my stay in the Army. I really liked the Army. I would have liked to stay in the Army. I was a combat officer. I could no longer serve as a combat officer because I just never been able to do the job. I would never got promoted because I didn't have a college degree. I needed the college degree, which I did do. After I left the Army, I went to Purdue, got my bachelor's degree, Bachelor of Science in Forestry in 1976. And from there, I went back to the Department of Defense and did 32 years with the Department of Defense. And a top secret clearance for 27 of those 32 years. I really can't talk about what I did or what I saw. One real quick story, then I'll go back to Vietnam, that everybody in this room is familiar with. One of the things I was assigned was to map vegetation for a program for the military. And that program in 1976 was a top secret program. It's simply known as GPS. So that's where GPS came from. I didn't make it, but we were making it where I was assigned. Okay, awards and badges. Talk about that next for a minute. Purple Heart. Eventually they hold a formal ceremony. When I was back working as a range officer, they hold a formal ceremony. And in that ceremony, which was held in front of all my peers, the range instructors, probably some people from the companies. I was awarded Purple Heart in a formal ceremony. This one actually does have my name embossed on the back. The other one, they simply would not have been able to do that. But it is embossed. It says David A. Boyle. Along in that ceremony, I was also awarded the Bronze Star. There's a little bitty gold V on that Bronze Star. And those are in my shuttle box, not the originals. These are the originals, and the caretaker of the originals is my daughter Amanda. But the copies of those are the one that was given to me in Vietnam. They're in a shuttle box. Let me talk about Purple Heart for a second. Tolerate me while I read one more poem. Once upon a time, when most of us had died, a soldier at the judgment seat applied for entrance. Show me, the stern one said, some proof that you are choice among the dead. Some saintly act, some holy skill or kindly art. Only this, my majesty, O King, O God, my last. Okay. Only this, my magistrate, O King of God, my life's blood for my country, stained aside. For proof, I have this Purple Heart. He gazed long at it, the King, all mankind's mentor, then nodding softly whispered, enter. Authorship of this poem is in doubt, or unknown. Awards and badges. Purple Heart, we're talking about. The Bronze Star with the V device. There are a lot of soldiers that are awarded Bronze Star, as they should be, for achievement, for meritorious achievement, for things that they've done. However, the V device on my Bronze Star and the other Bronze Star that has the V device has a significance. The V device is presented for valor, combat valor. So that's why the V device is on my Bronze Star. So that is the medal is in the shell box. You're welcome to review it. All these medals and ribbons that I'm going to talk about are also on my uniform, because you do wear when you wear dress blues or when you wear your dress greens. You're supposed to put your where the medals or badges that you've been presented. And let me stop for a second and talk about my uniform, dress greens. On the right-hand shoulder patch is the symbol for the 9th Infantry Division. These are the various divisions that served in Vietnam and their patches. When you are serving in the field with a unit, the unit patch goes on your left shoulder, and when you are no longer there, the combat patch is put on your right shoulder. So that's the difference there. The other thing that's unique that's on this uniform that's not in the show, it is in the show box. Because I was working as a range officer, they considered us to be part of the drill instructor training team, and that is a drill instructor's badge. So that's a unique cadre. I do have also back there, if you wish to come take a look at them, one of my fatigue shirts that I wore, again, combat patch on the right side, unit on the left side and a fatigue shirt similar to what I would have worn in Vietnam. The shadow box has the different devices in it. One of them is we talked about the Purple Heart, the Bronze Star, Vietnam Service Medal with one Bronze Star service is on there. Bottom corner. Down there, that does say that I did serve Vietnam, and it's got a bronze plus nut on it. The Republic of Vietnam also issues medals, Civil Actions Honor Medal First Class, with palm device is the one on close to a man that has a palm on it, as a recognition for deeds of valor or heroic conduct while in combat with the enemy. That was awarded by the Republic of Vietnam. Obviously, Vietnam doesn't award those stuff anymore. Along with that was a Civil Actions Medal, obviously the greenish one. Republic of Vietnam, military personnel or units that performing outstanding achievements in the fields of civilian affairs. Along with that is the National Defense Medal, which I do not have in there. It's a red one. But it is on my uniform. That one, and then the campaign, the green one, the Vietnam Campaign Medal is the other one. All of those are on my uniform. Those will eventually be put into a different check box. The other item that's in the shuttle box on the uniform, and it is also tattooed on my right arm, is what is called the Combat Infantryman's Badge. But it is the highest award / badge that the U.S. Army gives to men or women who serve for more than 30 days in an actual combat unit in the infantry. So that is earned the hard way. As a side note, there are very few, other than infantry soldiers, who have the combat infantryman's badge. There are other armor officers, there are other armor enlisted men, there are artillery officers, artillery enlisted men. There are some other people that served in various branches of the Army that have combat infantryman's badge, but the combat infantryman's badge background is blue for infantry. It's got a musket on it, and then the wreath. Since I guess Iraq, many of the soldiers felt like that they should have been awarded, because of what they ended up doing, should have been awarded combat infantryman's badge. So they have now created what they call a combat actions badge. So there's a difference there. They are also worn above the left lapel. They're bright and shiny. They don't have the blue background. They don't have the musket. So there's a difference. You see the blue background in the blue musket. You won't see the combat action badge. You will see the combat infantryman's badge. So it's kind of, if you would, the holy grail for soldiers. Okay, we're getting close here. I want to mention, I mentioned the OCS. Open that. You had that open already? Okay. These are the certificates with the Purple Heart and the Bronze Star. And if you're interested in reading the citation for the Bronze Star that was awarded, you're welcome to come up. read it. And we'll divide everyone after the fact to come up if you wish to see it. My daughter here, Dr. and Mrs. Amanda Dawson, got her PhD last May, and she got married last May. She had a busy May. But her dissertation is titled Men, Memory, and Memorials, Vietnam Veteran, Theatrical Narratives. So I think there are only 2, maybe 3 hardbound copies of her dissertation. I have got one, and I thank Amanda for that because it is also dedicated to it. So, thank you, Amanda. I want to talk Corporal Rudolph Pearson. Corporal Pearson was one I mentioned earlier, who was my platoon mate who died on the 13th of January 1969. Corporal Pearson is a unique status of having been the only U.S. soldier in Vietnam that was killed in action on the 13th of January 1969. Most days, as we got farther into the war, there were many, many days, 58,000 plus. But Corporal Pearson is unique in the sense that he's the only one. And for me, it's an easy date to remember because that's the date and or date that I was wounded. I would encourage anyone who ever gets an opportunity to go to Washington, D.C. to see, to go to the Vietnam Veterans Memorial and see it. It is very moving. I have been there a couple, 3 times. One of them I noticed we've got a couple of gentlemen in the back from Rolling Thunder. I did ride with Rolling Thunder on the 15th anniversary of the wall, to the wall. I had worked in Washington, D.C., and a friend of mine invited me out to ride, went out, rented a motorcycle, and about 270,000 of us rode down to the wall that day. It was hot, 95 plus degrees, but it was a moving experience. The year I was there was the year that the spring, or Memorial Weekend after 9/11. Normally, the ride to the wall leaves the South Pentagon parking lot. Like I said, up 270,000 motorcycles were staged there, and at that time, they had all of the limestone that they had mined out of Bedford, Indiana. The original mine that they got the limestone for the Pentagon, and all that was there to repair the Pentagon. So it was pretty interesting to see. There is a traveling wall. If you're not fortunate enough to actually go to Washington, D.C. and see the Vietnam Veteran Memorial for a while, please do. They do advertise it whenever the traveling wall is nearby. I would recommend you go see it. And if you can remember Corporal Pearson, they'll have a book. If they can do it digitally for you, just 13th of January 1969, and they'll tell you what line, what row, what section of the wall that he's on. With that, I would like to thank the Turner of American Revolution for inviting me here today. I want to thank the Rolling Thunder for the table that they set up in the back to honor the soldiers who cannot dine with us any longer. I will entertain any questions at this point. If anybody got any questions, if you're uncomfortable with asking, I would I'm going to be here till, I guess,
Till we kick you
till
out.
they throw us out, they came in. If you wish to pick up a copy and make a donation, you're free to do that. And you're also free to come up and take a look at the items that I've got on display. Touch them. Please, some of them touch gently. Like there's a missile there. Some of this stuff's 50 years old. A couple of it, stuff I had in Vietnam, some when I was in the military. The green bag is what they call a ditty bag. When I was wounded, they took my watch, my wallet, any personal items you might have on you, because they cut off the uniform, and they put it in a ditty bag. That travels with you anywhere you go until eventually you get your stuff, so all your important stuff. The ditty bag was given to me in the hospital in 1969. I still haven't owned it. I've used it for many years for various things, but it's there. Okay, that's kind of what I've got to say. I need to stretch your legs.
Stretch your legs anyhow. Thank you for that wonderful presentation, and we appreciate you coming out here today and talking to us and informing us of things that I'm sure some of us younger generation have no clue. Yes, I'm of the younger generation. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Nobody had any questions or anything? Okay.
Yes, sir.
I've got a question. When you came back to the States and went to Purdue, how were you treated? Were you accepted? Were you shunned? Was it a mixed bag? How was that?
There's two parts of this. When I came back from Vietnam, I was still a litter patient, so in a sense I was fortunate, unfortunate. Unfortunate, I was wounded, but fortunate when I just flew in Fort Knox and they took me to the hospital. So I didn't have to deal with what a lot of veterans had to deal with. I will say that we were not looked upon kindly when I was at Purdue, mostly ignored. I can't say that was, with maybe one exception, treated very badly because I wouldn't have tolerated it. I served as the president of the Veterans Organization while I was at two different universities, Jefferson Community College over in Louisville before it started, and then went to Purdue. So I served as the president of the Veterans Organization while I was at both universities. Like I said, I wasn't to hear people talking about baby killers, on or anything like that, but we were ignored as veterans, but we did identify ourselves. Most of us wore old fatigues or old field jackets, that kind of stuff. The only main issue I had at Purdue, because I was a disabled veteran, I was going to school under a rehab program that's sponsored by the government. It's sort of a step off of the GI Bill, if you would, parallel but step off. So they paid all of my tuition books, anything I might have needed, and then I got a monthly stipend, albeit it wasn't quite as much as normally what you would have gotten if you were simply going on the GI Bill. I never had to worry about tuition books or anything. However, the main incident that I had was I had gotten my receipts and I had to go take my receipts to claim for some of the books and stuff like that I had bought. And I walked across the field with my 90 degrees, walked into the building, did 3 flights of stairs, which just absolutely whooped me. Because I am rated at 80% disabled by the Veterans Affairs. The cane is just kind of recent because I've had some back surgery. But I went to the office to the 3rd floor of the main building in Purdue to find out that I had the wrong receipts and I lost it. physically removed from the building. And I was invited to speak to the president after that, who met with me. And I explained to him, I said, I do not believe that you should have an office to deal with the military veterans. The veterans that are attending this university on the 3rd floor, where handicapped individuals have got to, and it's not convenient for them to access. And he agreed with me, and our office was ultimately moved to the 1st floor. And then he also asked me if I would serve on a committee to help them identify where we needed ramps for people who were in wheelchairs to have access to get over curbs. So the Veterans Organization worked that program, presented to the university, and then they in fact did do that. Okay? That? Okay. Anything else?
Any other questions?
What kind of guns did they use in the Vietnam War?
Vietnam, normally I carried an M16. That had the capability of full automatic. They have modified the M16. Back then the options were one shot of it. It was, if you wanted one shot, you had to do it with your finger. If you wanted anything after that, was full automatic. They have revised, updated M16, obviously, but now they've got a selector where they can fire a 3-round burst instead of full automatic. Because most people cannot, being a range officer, most people cannot effectively shoot a weapon that fires full automatic. What happens when you fire it, and the weapon automatically raises in the air. So your first 2 or 3 rounds are going to probably go where the weapon pointed, the rest of them are going to go overhead. There is a trick to doing that, and I learned that as a range officer because I taught instinctive shooting, and I could put 20 out of 20 in a man-sized silhouette at 25 feet for automatic one burst. And the trick to doing that is put your hand on the top side of the weapon and point it, and that way you're holding the weapon down and will not raise. In my platoon, the medic carries 45 for self-protection. Most medics are conscientious objectors, which is fine. And they had an option whether they wanted to carry a firearm or not. Corporal Pearson chose to carry a 45 for personal protection if he needed it. And then in my platoon, we also had grenade launchers. And 32 grenade launchers, and all of us carried grenades as well. That's kind of how we were equipped in the field.
Any other questions?
Yes, ma'am. Hey, I lose it all the time. You get to be my age. Now, I'm probably going to have to ask you to speak up. The other thing that happens is the hearing starts to go away. If you think about it and you look around, just ask me. I won't tell everybody to talk. Anyway.
Anybody else? Okay. All right.
Can I just say one more thing?
Sure.
I do have my family here in the front row. I have mentioned Amanda behind me. My spouse is down at the end, Jan, 47 years. We've been together, married in 1969. I was busy in 1969. Grandson Rowan, my newest son-in-law Ryan, my granddaughter Ruby, my daughter Jessica, and her spouse Andy. So very proud of my family. They're a very caring, loving family, and they are taking care of the old guys. He just gets older. Yeah. So thank you to them. Okay.
All right. Thank you so much. You led that right into what I wanted to know. Are there any family members of the Vietnam veterans here today? Please raise your hand. Okay, honey, well, okay, Lydia, and Houghton, and Lily, you can come help pass out buttons to the family members. Anybody, keep your hands raised so the kids can know if she has them in her basket, so just pass them out to them. Those buttons are intended to, no, these are different. These are intended for the family members. Lydia? Thank you. There's a couple hands over here. There's a hand in the back. There's your hand higher, Molly. I think you need a couple back there. We have more. That basket's just, I just put some in there. Did we miss someone? Okay, Lydia, can you get one and take that man back there? If they ran out of the, I got more. Okay. All right. Thank you all for coming today. And also, do we have any veterans of the Vietnam War in the audience that have not received the lapel pin? Would you like to come forward and receive one today? Okay.
My name is Mike LaBarbera. I was in from 1968. I retired in 1994.
Okay, and a grateful nation thanks you and honors you. Okay, could you do the same, please?
Yeah, I'm Jim Moore. I was in the Air Force in Vietnam, 68 and 69.
Thanks you and honors you. Okay, and I also, you can't hear me. I also have a few bumper stickers that for Vietnam War veterans that say that Vietnam War, I served. So there's a few of those here. If any of that have the buttons already would like to have the sticker instead or for your car, if you raise your hand, I'll have Lydia bring them out to you. Anybody want? Out there too. Did you serve in the Vietnam War?
No, well, she wants one with grandpa.
Oh,
Did serve.
then you can definitely get one of grandpa. Yeah. Yes, you can.
Yeah.
Vanetta, we have a gentleman over.
Help in already? No, it's something special. Come on over here and tell us who you are and your dates of service.
I'm Patrick Savage. I did 2 tours in the Mekong Delta, 65 and 66. I'm presently with an honor flight, and kind of here to do a little recruiting. I'm the Director of Veteran Outreach, so if you served, I'd like to take you to D.C. to see the memorial.
Thank you. And a grateful nation thanks and honors you. Okay, thank you for coming out today. Okay. Okay, do we have all our veterans covered? Did everybody get a pin today for just attending the 50th anniversary? Okay, and we have pamphlets. We have poppies back there, as he's mentioned. We take a little donation back to the AMVETS for veterans for those if you want to donate something. Let's thank our Rolling Thunder guys back there. They come out and set their mission. If you have any questions, never seen it, they do it. You can invite them out to your group, and they'll do the ceremony for you. We've seen it a couple of times at DAR. And if you have any questions before you leave today, please stop and talk to them, okay? And then over in the other corner, we have Dean Diefenbach-Hines and her husband, Kevin. Kevin served in the Vietnam War. And her grandson, Kane. And she brought her books today, The Sacrifice, about James Vestal's person, or from the first person killed in the World War I, right?
Correct.
In the trenches of France. And a portion of her proceeds today will be bio and her book will go to the veterans, and we'll take that over there sometime in summer and drop that off. Okay. Anybody have anything else that they would like to share with us today? Okay. All right, Gunnery Sergeant Counts, would you retire the colors? Eli?
Mr. President, we will retire the colors.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Dr. Brown. Okay. That concludes our program today. You're welcome to come up and take a look at all of the display up here.